Currently in Minecraft, there are no seasonal changes, as much as I wish there were. We just have biomes that kind of give us the impression that there are different climates in different areas. I, however, really enjoy seasonal changes in real life. One that's happening right now where I live? Autumn. Let's build a autumn farm in this area, and the first thing that I think of when I think autumn is pumpkins and apples, and that's exactly what I want this farm to grow. So we're going to be starting here with this apple orchard. This is a fairly established orchard, so the trees are a little bit larger. In order to get inspired for this, I actually watched quite a few YouTube vloggers actually have the experience of going out and picking apples and picking pumpkins and seeing what those farms sort of provided for the people who were visiting. That gave me a ton of inspiration, and plus now I really want to go apple picking. So that's a thing. Anyways, this will kind of get the craving out of the way, building it in Minecraft. So first things first, build all the trees. I've saved you guys the pain of watching me do that, and now we're just going to put some paths in between all of them so that people can come along and pick apples from these trees however they want. These apple trees are a little on the tall side for an orchard, but I thought they looked a little better in Minecraft like this. Now we're going to move on to sort of our centerpiece, a big, classic red barn. This isn't the sort of barn that's going to be holding a lot of animals, it's more so a working area for the people who work here and need to run the farm. I modeled this off of a few different real-life barns that I saw, and I thought the roof shape worked out quite well with the different layering. It gives it a little bit more interest instead of it just being a very plain shape. With some finishing details, this barn is definitely looking so suited to the area. A few more decorations and we can move on to the next area. This is going to be the pumpkin farm right across from the apple orchard. I love the idea of being able to come out here and pick lots of different sized pumpkins, and the seed pickles combined with the leaves really give it that feel that it is actually attached to a vine and growing here. I only did a few rows of this, decorated a little bit, and then moved on to a small shed just outside the barn. This can be just like a little tool shed that's off the path, adds a little bit more touch of detail and some more structure to the farm. Nothing major though. The walls are mushroom though, which I really love. Now, arguably the hardest part of this whole build for me, the farmhouse. I wanted this to look like your classic American farmhouse, so that's exactly what I looked at on Google. Real-life farmhouses on actual farms. There's a lot of different variations, but the one that I was most drawn to is one with a wraparound deck, so that ends up being the main feature of this build. And a lot of simplistic details really make it come together. It doesn't need a whole lot for this classic feel. Once that's done, we're going to move on to the area across from our first apple orchard and just do another one with a different type of apple. Same exact idea, just building up a whole bunch of custom trees, and this one will be a green apple orchard. Perfect. Now we're going to be moving on to some of the more unique and fine details of this area. This that I'm building right now is a wind pump. Now, if you've ever seen one of these in real life, you probably wondered how the heck you're going to build that in Minecraft, because there's so many small moving parts. But I think this design that I settled on really worked out, and it made me practice using those fences and walls and gates a whole lot more than I normally do. They're kind of tricky to work with. Now, moving on to more details. I want this place to have a touch of autumn throughout it, so I challenged myself to build some different autumn trees. A yellow, a red, and an orange variant. The thing I love about these trees is I got a chance to use blocks that I normally don't, like the birch log, sponge, netherrack, and red sandstone, all in some different trees. Now moving on to the final details of the build, the carts. I love having different carts and wagons and different things moving around a build. I think it really adds to the details and just makes the whole build come to life. And once this is done, the build is complete. Let's take a little stroll through this autumn farm together, shall we? I think that'll be quite fun. We're going to start here on this entrance path and start by walking through the green apple orchard area, right next to that lovely pumpkin farm. I really love the view from here, and I think the wind pump in particular adds a really nice detail to the skyline that wouldn't have been there before. So unique. Normally I just go ahead and do a well, but that wind pump really adds a lot to the area. And through here we've got lots of carts and barrels of apples. All of these little details as you walk through, like for example the rotten apples on the ground, really add to the feel of this apple orchard. Like, you could actually walk through here and pick apples maybe. I think the only thing it's really missing is maybe some ladders going up and down into the trees so that you can get a better reach for these apples. But the ladders would have kind of cluttered it up for me, and I wanted it to look a little bit more naturey, so I didn't add any, but they're definitely a detail that is currently missing that I could have added. Now let's talk about how I actually got these apples in the game, shall we? So there is a command if you Google that you can get an apple that looks exactly like this, like the ones that are growing on these trees. It's just a head that looks like an apple. There's a command to get it. I'll write the command out in the description so you can copy paste it. However, what I did to get all of these different variations of apples and pumpkins and everything else that I want to use, I actually use a plugin called Head Database. Now obviously this is single player, I don't have any plugins, but Minecraft gives us this awesome option right over here to save a toolbar. And you can see right here, I have just gone onto any old server. I particularly went onto Builder's Refuge. You can go onto any server that has a plugin, Head Database, fill your hotbar with whatever heads you want, and then all you have to do is press the save key, which depends on what your controls are. Mine's C and then the number of the row, and then you can retrieve it just like this. Just press X and the number, and your toolbar is filled with these lovely heads that you can now use and place all around your build. That's way easier to me than typing out commands to try and find the particular head and just using a plugin from any old server. But yeah, that's a really cool trick that I learned. And you can see that I placed a whole bunch of pumpkins in the pumpkin patch over here, just so that we would have some variations, some little ones as we walk through, some bigger ones. It's hard to get much bigger than that without it looking awkward, but I think it worked out wonderfully having this pumpkin patch here. It really gives us the feel of coming out here and being able to pick pumpkins, which is never an experience that I've had in real life, but I would love to at some point. Let's head over towards the barn now, shall we? The barn is something that I'm really loving. The barn is actually the reason I wanted to do this whole build. I've been wanting to do a sort of American style farm for a long time now and never really had quite the proper theme to do it in. I think the excuse of having an apple orchard was the perfect area to build it in, as well as the classic farmhouse that we've got over there. On the inside of the barn, I just have sort of a very basic working area. We've got some apples being washed in here, we've got a saw over there cutting up some wood, just some general storage that you would have in this type of barn that is just more so used for tools and working than for actual animals. Same thing if we turn around back here, we've just got this lovely shed, and where we can go through the big shed door, or we could go through the little door on the side. And just a simple area for washing up, storing some tools, various other things in a simple tool shed. Now let's head over to the farmhouse, where it looks like we have a little visitor. Hello, sir. You don't quite look like you belong here. This isn't your house. What the heck? Anyways, this villager, I guess, is coming to my barbecue. I've created this little barbecue here. I think this is super cute. I just kind of wanted a little detail outside, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. I was originally going to do a campfire, but I decided after all I would try to attempt one of these. The fun thing about this is it actually does work. So if you take a food item, for example, because of the campfire, you can actually use the barbecue, which I love. I've never seen anyone do this before. Maybe they have, but I really just love this. I think that's such a cool design. I love the campfire and all of its uses. I don't think I'll ever run out of uses for it. Oh, and I think our chicken is done. Yep, there we go. Here, would you like some? There you go. So chicken, just, yep, all right, well, that's just rude. Let's go inside, shall we? My favorite thing about this area for sure is this wraparound deck. Fun fact, in real life, I would actually love to have a wraparound deck if I ever eventually get to buy a dream house, but for now, I'll just stick to building them in Minecraft. The interior is very, very basic, just a simple kitchen, a living room around here, and then a bedroom and bathroom upstairs. I haven't done a whole lot on the interior, still kind of practicing my interior skills. I'm not very good at them yet, but you know, these few details definitely bring the build together and finish it off. Alright everyone, I think that is all for this build. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. I hope you enjoyed this little walk around the farm and seeing my process of building it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye everyone!